Want to be employee of the month? Stop by one of your local stores.
That's not up to quality standards.
Man, put the pizza in the oven, stop talking back.
Weekend forecasts you can count on from meteorologist Clay Smith.
Every day when I come to work, I learn something new about either a fun event going on in Chattanooga, a business that you're going to want to go and check out, or a group of area people who are working to improve the place in the city that we call home. So Kathy Milam certainly fits into that third category. She is with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, the local chapter, because it is obviously a national organization. So nice to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's fitting to have you here because it seems like we've had an unintentional, but I like the trend, the last several weeks and months on 3+U, where there have been a lot of conversations about mental health.
Right.
In our area, maybe in part, Kathy, because of COVID, and it seemed to really call out a lot of attention to the concerns for mental illness.
Certainly, it has caused much more anxiety with the isolation, and so that also contributes to those who have a mental disorder. The isolation is not good.
Mm-hmm. I think that there has been in the past kind of a blanket definition, if you will, of what mental illness looks like. And as education will do, we've had our eyes and minds opened of late to that understanding that mental illness is as individualized and varied as the number of people you have in your community, right?
That's certainly true. There are many diagnoses, and many people are functioning, having a full life, living with their diagnosis and doing well.
I liked what you said to me before we got on camera. She said, the main thing I want people to know, besides this event that they have coming up in early October, is for the families to realize they're not alone. I think so often you can live in isolation.
Right. And the beauty of NAMI is we are all volunteers, and the magic is we teach as peer-to-peer. We have lived experience, and we can share with families. You're not alone. You didn't cause it. You can't cure it, but you can learn to cope with it. Mm-hmm. And we direct people. We have a helpline. We direct people to resources. Sometimes we're just a listening ear, and we have support groups. They're virtual now, and people come, and it's a safe place to share and to get information and just get encouragement that you're not alone and you can do this. And there's so much stigma in mental illness. Mm-hmm. We need to break that down so that people don't have to suffer alone.
Yeah, we do tend to look at mental illness as a weakness. I don't know why, but it seems like that's categorically what we do.
Right. That's that old stigma. And what we know is it is a chemical imbalance in the brain that can be corrected with proper medication, and there's a lot of great therapy out there. So there's so much hope. And we teach a class called Family to Family. It's an amazing class. I came to this about 15 years ago when my daughter presented as bipolar. She's an amazing, courageous young woman. And in this class, we teach communication skills. How do you talk to your loved one? And we teach diagnosis. We teach all about medication. And a lot is also about self-care. Mm-hmm. You must take care of yourself so that you can care for your mentally ill loved one.
When you talk about how do you have the conversation, how do you communicate with the one that you love who has the mental illness, if you will, I don't really even like that term, but we'll go with it. Is some of what you teach people to cope with how to get beyond, I guess, what might be kind of an anger? As a parent, I'm sure you have a lot of frustration that this is the path you're now walking down.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of grief, but we teach compassion and good communication skills and how to listen and accept. A lot of acceptance in our program.
So you have this event coming up in October. I want to touch on that, and then if we have time, we'll get into another part of the conversation. But you're calling it the NAMI Narratives. Are you still looking for entries from people?
Actually, our program is pretty well set.
Okay.
We always want to talk to people, though. So, visit our website, call us. These narratives are pre-recorded videos. We do have some live. And people are going to tell their stories, those with a diagnosis and then caregivers. And in telling our stories, we're opening up and we're showing people it's okay to talk about it. And some who have a diagnosis are going to speak, and yeah, you can get better and you can have a normal life.
Are you seeing the diagnosis come at earlier ages?
You know, sometimes I think there sometimes is this going on in high school, and sometimes we don't notice it. We think it's just normal teenage behavior. Not, and some in children. I think we're seeing more because of the pandemic. We're seeing an uptick in children getting a disorder.
You mentioned that it's a chemical imbalance, and I'm not
Right.
trying to put you on the spot medically, but do we make a mistake in always looking to medicine as the fix? Are there cases where people with the right outlook and approach can find ways to work around their challenges?
That certainly helps, but when someone is in psychosis, you really can't tell them they just can get over this.
So is that a challenge? Is
Yeah.
convincing people that they need the medication?
Right. Compliance is huge. It's so common. It's actually one of the symptoms of a disorder. Most people don't like to take the medicine. It doesn't, there's side effects. They don't like how it makes them feel. They just don't want to depend on a medicine. I mean, how many people do you know have taken an antibiotic and not
Right.
finished it?
Right.
And so, yeah. But the brain needs to be in balance, chemically balanced, and then you can introduce therapy, which is awesome, and it's really helpful.
There are so many different ways we could take our conversation this morning, and I'm sure that everyone watching either knows directly or through a friend or a loved one someone who struggles with mental illness, and hopefully they're finding more of an opportunity to not hide from that, but to
Right.
know that there are resources to help them. So you'd like people to register for this event, is
We
that
would
right?
love that. Yeah. You can register on Eventbrite, NAMI Narratives, or you can go to our website, namichattanooga.org, and that will send you to a link to register. It's going to be really great.
It's so nice to have you here, Kathy. Thank you.
My grandfather taught me that a good name is more valuable than riches.